What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet, and I am black up in your face again with some more pro black commentary. Very recently, I've had to do a lot of house cleaning on this channel, especially within my comment section and on my community posts. And the reason I've had to do so is because I had just an overwhelming amount of trolls, morons, and what I affectionately call glue eaters come to my channel and leave their very dumb, ignorant, annoying, and attention seeking comments. And when I say glue eaters, what I'm talking about is we all know back in the day, especially in the 80s and 90s, back when we were in kindergarten or elementary school, we all know that there were some children that actually like to eat the glue that was dispensed to us in our classes. There were kids that would eat the glue paste, or people that would eat that glue that came out of the sticks. And, there were most of us, most normal children, found that very disturbing and did not think that that was the thing to do. We had common sense and good enough sense to know that you were not supposed to be eating the materials that you're supposed to be using for your arts and craft projects. But, there are some kids who were just incorrigible, who maybe didn't have good training. Maybe their parents were drug addicts or alcoholics while they were in the womb. So a lot of them just don't have the cognitive skills to understand that you're not supposed to eat glue. So they did it anyway, right? And that's where the types of people I think that I'm dealing with now are kids that, grew up that were the glue eaters or the lead paint eaters, and, they grew up and they have no sense whatsoever. They just go with whatever or whoever is in power tells them to do, right? And what I mean by that is, very recently I've done some videos talking about the buffoonery that is going on within the MAGA movement, or being very critical of Trump and his administration. And you'll have all these morons show up, and they fall into two camps. They're either these extreme Trump supporters, like there's ones that are like right wingers, so they'll just come out here and yell saying, Trump 2028, even though I don't think he's going to last that long physically or mentally. But they come out here and they scream for Trump to be their leader on into the future. They just want him to be dictator for life, right? Or they think that, they'll get mad at me asking, like, why am I criticizing Trump? What was our other option? As if I'm doing videos to try to tell them that they should have voted for Kamala Harris or the Democrats. Likewise, on the other side of the aisle, you have a lot of these glue eaters who come here and say that how can I now criticize MAGA, or how could I criticize Trump when people like me helped Trump to get into office? They'll say that, my rhetoric, when I criticize the Democratic Party, or when I criticize these Democratic pundits or liberals, or even when I criticize people like Kamala Harris herself, that somehow that criticism helped for Donald Trump to win the last election. And to make a leap of logic like that, it shows once again that these people don't have any cognitive skills, nor do they do any type of real thinking for themselves. They just believe what their paymasters tell them, right? So I want to address that quickly in this video and just say, for the umpteenth time, and I guess, people have to hear repetition because they don't feel like doing any type of real research and looking backwards on my channel, even though there's plenty of evidence there. They don't feel like doing that type of work because that requires actual initiative and actual thought process. So they won't look back and see that I have always, always, always been critical of both political parties. I'm an independent. I've been independent since 2004. I've always registered myself as an independent, and I don't vote nor do I support Democrats, liberals, conservatives, or Republicans. All right. I've always been independent. I think the last time I voted for one particular party or the other was, so this was right after I registered independent. I voted for Democrats to take over the House and the Senate during the midterms of, I think it was 2005 or 2006. It's hard to remember that time period, but I think it was around that time. And I remember actually, trying to get people out there to vote for the Democratic Party at that time because I thought, I was very naive. This was when I was very young. I was 24, 25 years old. I was naive to think that once the Democrats got in power, that they were actually going to have some pushback against the Bush administration, and they were actually going to not only impeach him, but start putting members of his administration in prison for war crimes. Now, that never happened, obviously, and that's when I completely lost my faith that either party could do anything to stop these oligarchs who truly run the country. Because this country is not really run by politicians. Those are figureheads. The people that are behind them, the people that truly pay their salary and pay them way more than the American public could ever pay them, those are the people that run this country. Corporations, some of these rich oligarchs and stuff, those are the people that truly run this. So, you voting for one party or the other is not doing anything, right? And it doesn't matter what politician it is. Whoever has, they have an R or a D after their name, that's a shell game that they put out there for the American public. It doesn't mean anything, right? So from then on, I've always been very independent in my thought process and in how I view politics and politicians. Okay, it took some time for me to understand that, but once I understood it, I've been 10 toes down with it ever since then, right? So if you look at any of my videos, I always make sure to say that even if I am criticizing a certain politician, like if I'm criticizing the Republicans, that does not mean I'm telling you to go out there and vote Democratic. I always make sure to put that caveat in there. Likewise, when I was criticizing Kamala Harris and liberals over the summer, I told you in those videos, that does not mean I am MAGA. That does not mean that I am voting for Trump. In fact, I even made whole videos saying that Trump is not a solution. All right? He never has been, never will be. All right? But once again, there are people out there who are extremely slow. There are people out there who are extremely ignorant. And there's almost a portion of me that can't blame them because there's so much propaganda put on out there about voting and telling you that you actually have a choice when it comes to these elections. So for a lot of them, it's almost like it's hard for me to blame the American public because there's so much bullshit put out there by the mainstream media. And it's been ingrained in you ever since you were a child, telling you what you're supposed to do, right? So for a lot of people, I can understand where that confusion comes in. But, when it comes to my channel, I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to speak my mind on my channel. That's what my channel is for. Like some clown got butthurt because I told him, he said, like, you shouldn't be making videos like this. And I told him, if you want to make a different type of video or you want to hear something different, go make it yourself, right? And then he responded like the bitch that he is and said, oh, you mad. You mad at me, huh? Sitting there laughing, giggling like a little schoolgirl or whatever. But that's my suggestion. If you don't like what I'm saying on my channel, you have a YouTube channel, make your own content. Because that's what I do. I don't always agree or go 100% with a lot of the people, even people within the quote-unquote FBA delineation movement or whatever, because I know a lot of people associate me with that, but I don't always 100% agree with all those people either. So that's why I have my own channel where I can speak for myself and say what I want to say, right? And I don't have to depend on them to speak for me, because I can speak for myself. That's the great thing about social media. But there's some people that want to try to direct my language and try to shift me into saying something else. Or the dumb thing is when they try to get me to attack other people that they don't like on YouTube or social media. If you don't like them, go make a video about them. Okay. And once again, I don't. It's not like we get together in some meeting. There's no FBA meeting where we get together or a Zoom call or whatever where we get our marching orders. It's not like that. All right. We're not like your regular shills that you see on both the Democratic and the Republican side. There is no marching orders to give. We're grassroots, and that means that we all are independent thinkers, especially someone like myself who is pretty detached from really any group. Like, I don't even really spend that much time online anymore. I spend most of my time with my family and working on my artwork because that's what's important to me, right? So for me, I don't like waste as much of my time looking at everyone's content like I used to. And that's not to say that I don't listen to some videos or certain commentators, because there are ones that I do listen to on a regular basis. I'll admit, I listen to the Radical Home Sister on a regular basis. I listen to Turian Rain on a regular basis. I don't get a chance to always comment on their channels, but I do listen to them usually at least once or twice a week, right? But for the most part, a lot of these other people because there are people who have come here and named certain YouTubers that I've never even heard of before. Like, they'll say like, "Oh, this YouTuber is a Trumper or MAGA or whatever." They talk about, like, they support Trump. I was like, I don't even know who that is. So like, why are you telling me this? I don't listen to that person. You go deal with it. If you have a problem with what that person is saying, go deal with it. You go figure it out. You make your videos and bring it to everyone's attention. That's the best way to do it, right? That's what I've been doing. I told you guys when I made my video about some of these conservative clowns, I told you that myself personally, I've been doing videos about these people for a long time. And a lot of people ignored it because it was just me, but now I see it's started to take on a groundswell, and there are other people uh, exposing these clowns. People like Anton Daniels or the Cartier family, you know what I mean? Stevie Knight. There are people out there now exposing these clowns, and like I said, they've become the laughing stock of YouTube. And, years ago, I would do videos about them, and there are people who didn't even know who they were. So if you want to create some sort of bulwark or, some sort of movement against people you disagree with, go do that. Go do that. That's what I did. I remember there were sisters like Lashid For You. She would do videos about Thomas Sotomayor before it was popular to do so, right? She constantly exposed him over and over again. And then finally, uh, it took on a groundswell, and people all of a sudden turned on that clown, right? And people realized what type of a clown he truly was. Lashid For You also exposed people like Cynthia G. Like, I think, like me, her, and the Radical Home Sister were probably one of the only YouTubers at one point who were even doing negative videos about Cynthia G, right? Because I remember I did a video calling her a liar because I just said she's blatantly lying. And so but now everyone sees what type of clowns these people are. So, if you want to change the dynamics, if there are certain people you want to talk about, go ahead and make your videos about them. Don't ask me to do it because, once again, I don't even spend that much time online to do that anymore. I don't listen to as many people in order for me to do that. If I see something of merit, or there are certain things that I'm passionate about that I want to talk about, it's my channel. That's what I'm going to focus on. So, once again, I know a lot of these people are trolls because I'll go to their channel. There's no content on there. They have these fake names. They don't have a face on there. So a lot of them are trolls or bots or whatever. And a lot of them are not even black. A lot of them are white supremacists that just want to get into an argument and waste time. Those people I usually just block automatically, right? I don't even feel like doing anything with them. I just want to step on them and get them out of here because they're cockroaches. Those are vermin. I get them out of here quickly. But there's some clowns out here who are, black people who are either, I don't know where they're from. A lot of them are probably not from America. They just like to run their mouths. So they'll come here, or they're like these liberal shills, because I know the Democrats have given out marching orders to a lot of these liberal shills telling them to attack people who identify as pro-black or who criticize the Democratic Party. And I'm telling you right now, you doing that, you doing those attack tactics on grassroots pro-black people, that's going to cause the Democrats to lose another election, okay? Because you're spending all your time focused on us. You should be spending your time trying to get your politicians elected, all right? Or at least telling them what we need and what we truly want out of them. Because that's the problem. That's why Kamala Harris lost that last election. I always say Trump did not win the last election. The Democrats lost the last election. They had it in the bag, right? But they squandered it. It's almost like they had like a 50-point lead in a game, and in the last two quarters, they just blew it. They just let the other team just take over and win the game. They blew it. All they had to do was give black people what they truly wanted, but they didn't do that. They decided they were going to attack black men and divide black men from black women. They decided they were going to wag their finger at black men and tell black men what to do and call any black man that disagreed with Kamala a misogynist, right? They did that. They decided that instead of having a primary to let the people in the Democratic Party pick who they wanted, they got an establishment candidate like Kamala Harris, who had already lost several elections as is, and they just appointed her and anointed her and threw her in there, even though she had already lost the last time she tried to run for president, right? And they decided to throw their support behind her by telling her to vote for her no matter what, saying pretending she's a black woman, telling them to vote for her because your mama's a black woman, not really giving you any concrete reasons to vote for her. You know, they're just telling you to do so just because, you know, your mama's black and your sister's black. They decided to have all these ridiculous concerts and celebrity endorsements, all types of nonsense, stuff that didn't matter. They didn't focus on any real issues. And that's how that slime bucket, that dirt bag, the Tangerine, was able to slide in there and just get his bigoted base and win another election. He took the election from these fools. And, you know, that's on them. That's not on us. That's not black people's fault. That's not independent thinkers' fault. People who didn't vote for either party. That's not our fault. Because I've heard idiots say that as well, talking that nonsense, saying being independent or telling people not to waste their time voting. You helped Trump win the last election. Well, I did the same thing in 2018, 2019, and 2020. So that means I helped Joe Biden win too, right? Based on your logic, right? When I criticized the Trump administration before, that means I helped Biden win in 2020, right? So I should get some credit for that, right? That's based on your ridiculous logic. You know, if I'm criticizing one person, that must mean I'm supporting the other somehow, right? But once again, these people don't think that hard. And let me tell you this is what I'm going to close out on. It is your job as a citizen of this country and as a voter of this country to question whoever is in power. See, I understand that the powers that be have brainwashed you into thinking that all you got to do is give your vote to one politician or the other, and then you just automatically support that politician or that party with no questions whatsoever. You just have blind allegiance and act basically like you're a sports fan, right? You act like this is some sort of sporting event or this is some sort of boxing match and you got to cheer for your home team. That's not what voting is supposed to be. Yes, you vote for that person, but then you're supposed to hold them accountable after the fact. You're supposed to stay on their bumper after the fact. So, truth be told, if you're a Republican and you vote for a Republican candidate, you're supposed to be the harshest critic of that Republican candidate. If you're a Democrat and you vote to get the Democrats in office, you're supposed to be the harshest critic of that Democrat. You're supposed to stay on their bumper about everything that they promised you. And if you don't get it, you're not supposed to just be hyper-focused on the other side. You're supposed to be hyper-focused on the people you voted for because they're the ones that are supposedly supposed to be doing a job for you, right? But once again, I understand most of you have been brainwashed to think in the opposite direction. You want to bite and attack people on the outside for your decision. Really, you should be hard on yourself too, because you gave them your vote and you demanded nothing from them. So you just think that just throwing your vote and getting them in office and helping them get, good benefits and a good salary and access to all these lobbyists to pay for them for the rest of their lives, you think that was the best thing for you to do. And now you're sitting around looking dumb when you don't get what these politicians promised you. That's your fault. You need to look in the mirror and question yourself as to why you have blind allegiance to either party when you don't actually get what they actually promised you. Anyway, you folks let me know how you feel about all this in the comments section. I would love to hear your opinions on this. And I'm talking about the real people, not trolls, not buck dancers, not glue eaters. All right, I don't want to hear anything from you. You come on here running your mouth, talking nonsense, your ass is going to get blocked, and I'm taking your comment down. Get that in your thick ass glue infested brain. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.